Hi, I'm Sharon Bowman, professor at UAT, and today we're going to make plaster cast masks. We can use a couple of different things for plaster cast masks. You can get from a hobby store Easy Form, it's just plaster cast, or you can get from a medical supply store actual plaster cast. This is the same stuff they use to make casts with. It's the same stuff, it's just different places to buy them. So what we'll need is our plaster cast tape, scissors, something to cover our work surface with because the stuff is messy, a bowl of warm water, petroleum jelly, and a model. Today I'm going to use our friend the glass display head as our model. Okay, so the first thing that you want to do is cut pieces of plaster cast because you don't want big long stretches at a time. So we're just going to cut a few pieces that are big so that we can cover big chunks of the face. When you get to the point where you're covering things like around the nose, under the eyes, around the mouth, cut smaller pieces. If you're going to do underneath an eye, it's okay to cut it as though it's fitting underneath the eye or the bridge of the nose, or something really, really small for under the nose and above the lips. Okay, so it's okay that you make curves and shapes out of your plaster cast. And this is why we want to cover the work surface. As we're cutting, the plaster just kind of flakes off and gets everywhere. And it's plaster, it's rock. Okay, so once we have some pieces cut, we want to prepare the model's face with some petroleum jelly. So when we're preparing our model's face, you want to just make sure that you get petroleum jelly everywhere that you're going to put the plaster. If you don't do that, the plaster sticks to the skin and it's really hard for the model to get the form off of their face. And we don't want that. We want our model to be happy and comfortable. My model here is really easy because I can get it in her eyes. With your human models, you won't want to do that. You want to be very, very careful about where you're getting all of the petroleum jelly. But you do want to make sure it's a nice, even coverage. Okay? Then we'll take our warm water, and it's warm because that is good for the model's face. You don't want it too hot because you don't want it uncomfortable. But warm makes it feel nicer when it goes onto the skin. It doesn't have anything to do with how well the plaster sticks. Now you'll notice I just kind of dipped that in there and slapped it onto my model's face and it's dripping all over. So what you want to do is dip it in and then kind of just get the excess water off, so you're not making a mess all over your model's face, that they're not dripping, okay? And overlap just a little. And just continue to apply, nice and moist. Then scrape off the excess water and overlap and smooth it down. And you'll find as you start getting layers that you can take a little water and smooth it, and the plaster will move into all those little holes. So your mask becomes stronger, and it also has a nicer, more even finish. All right, so you apply the plaster everywhere that you want. Fill in all the holes by using just a little bit more water, and then allow the plaster to dry. It dries relatively quickly. If it does dry and you want to add more to it later, you can do that. So once it dries, it will still take the water and you can still add to it. Once it's dry, you want your model to cover their face with their hands to support the mask and then start scrunching up their face. Just wiggling their nose, little tiny movements, little twitches to get the mask to come off. So it'll be something like this. So they'll have their mask, and then they just scrunch up their face, and you help them to pull it off. Obviously, if you're doing a human model, you want to get their hair back so you don't get plaster in their hair. And then this isn't my face, it's somebody else's face, but this is a finished product for the plaster cast mask.